Hey there, Kyle Hilliard here from Game Informer. We had an error at the beginning of this episode where the video was not recording properly. So the opening is gonna have no video, and then like 30 minutes or so in, you'll have video. Apologies for the issue, but I hope that doesn't interrupt your listening to the Game Informer Show podcast. Thank you for tuning in as often as you do.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly podcast covering the video game industry. Join us each and every Thursday for a discussion of the latest gaming news, reviews, and exclusive reveals with Game Informer staff and special guests from around the industry. I am your host, Marcus Stewart. Alex Van Aken out this week, but as you can see if you're watching the video version, I have the hat. As I said in the previous version, the hat means that you are the host.
All right. Forgot about this rule.
It's the heavy as the head that wears the hat, as the podcast gods used to say. That voice you just heard is Kyle Hilliard. Hi.
Hey, it's me. I did it.
You did it. You showed up, I guess.
I showed up. I did it. Congrats to me.
Thank you for coming on time, too. Also, we have Wesley LeBlanc. Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Going pretty well. Before we jump right into it, of course, if you want to support Game Informer, the best way you can do that is with a Game Informer magazine subscription. A physical magazine can be sent to your house, 10 of them, in fact, for 1 year, for $19.91. All you got to do is subscribe. Go to GameInformer.com/subscribe or subscription. I believe both work still. But either way, it's the best way to support us directly. You can also double up on that subscription by signing up for 20 issues over 2 years for $34.99. It's a great way to keep us around, show our parent company that we have value and that we're worth keeping alive, not even just as a business, but as people.
Geez, that extends to that. Oh, please, for the love of God, subscribe.
I did not know that when I signed up to work here. That is news to me.
Yes, our very lives are at stake here, folks. So if you would like to keep us on this earth, sign up for a physical magazine. It's a great thing. We put a lot of work into it, and we promise you will like it. I was gonna do the Men's Warehouse thing where he's like, "What is it? You're gonna like the way you look." I guarantee. Is that what he says?
Yeah, I think so. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
You're gonna like the way you read. I guarantee it for the magazine.
You're gonna like what you read. I guess.
There you go. We're going to be talking about a few big games today. First and foremost, one of the big releases this week is Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. I believe I pronounced that correctly. This is Capcom's new action strategy hybrid game. It was announced, I want to say, a year and a half ago. I remember seeing it. It was actually, I think it was last year at the Capcom showcase that I think was the one we all said was a waste of time. Because it wasn't good. But I remember seeing this game and going, oh, that looks interesting. But like not knowing what it was. And I think that's the interesting story around this game is sort of like what it actually is. Because I think if you watch maybe those first few trailers, they only show like cinematic combat. And in my mind, I was like, oh, it's like a stylish action thing. Like maybe like a new sort of like Devil May Cry style game, which makes sense. Capcom is into that kind of stuff. But in the most recent trailers, we've seen more of just like, oh, this is like a weird strategy thing that I don't know if I've seen anything quite like this in terms of the blend of styles. But Wesley, you have been playing it for review. At the time of recording, you have not finished the game. Kyle and I have also started playing it, but I would love to know what you think of the game so far and explain to the good folks at home just what the hell this game actually is.
Yeah, so I'm like 5 or 6 hours into it. I think it seems like it's like a 20 to 25 hour game from what I've heard. But I had some travel for work last week, so only started to really dip my toes into it. But if those 5 to 6 hours I've played so far any indication, I am going to give this game a really great score because I am loving it a lot. Similar to what you kind of just described, I had no idea really what this game was going into it. When Brian assigned me the game for review, I had to look up. I was like, wait, which one is this again? And I was like,
Google
okay,
was
cool.
like, did you mean?
Yeah. I actually sent him a recommendation for a game. I was like, I have another game on my list I'd like to review that comes out the following week, which is next week. Not as like a, maybe let me do that instead, but just that's how out of touch I was with this game.
He told you that's a weird way to spell Kunitsu-Gami.
Yeah. But I'm really stoked on reviewing it because it's a game I probably wouldn't have played on my own volition necessarily, at least until reading about it and stuff. But it is, I think the reason they have struggled to market it is because doing so would be like describing what the game is calling it a tower defense game, which is not a flashy or sexy term, I think, in games, especially because of like...
kind of isn't fully,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's hard to...
It's like
I do not envy Capcom at all for explaining what this game is, because I couldn't do it either, really.
So a malevolent presence like takes over a mountain. It's basically like a large mountain, kind of like Fushimi Inari in Kyoto. A bunch of torii gates going up a mountain and villages and little rest stops along the way. And you are, I forget the main character's name, So or Yo.
Yo,
and
I think.
Yeah. And you are helping this woman who can like cleanse the mountain, reach different gates that have been like possessed by these malevolent demon forces or whatever. And you're kind of like the bodyguard of her or like her commander. Like her main goal is to cleanse the areas, cleanse the villages, cleanse the villagers, cleanse the gates, and you have to like make sure she survives while doing that. And so what you have is this like daytime, nighttime cycle that dictates everything going on in the game. So during the day, you go to these stages and you try to, you kind of just walk around and find things that are unclean and you clean them by holding B. And then, which this sounds boring, but it's actually, I actually quite like it. It's kind of nice.
It's a little bit of a puzzle sometimes, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Because you have to find them, and it's also really satisfying because this game looks really nice, like
Yes,
the art
it's
direction, and
gorgeous.
so like it's got a it's almost got an Okami-esque sort of like satisfaction of like, oh, this thing that was like all gross and demonic is now all pretty and flowers because I cleansed it.
Which I think,
Yeah.
I think Okami is doing some kind of overlap with it. I think.
They did for the
There
demo,
is,
which
yeah.
is now in the main game because enough people played the demo.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, and the
yeah.
art style. It might be. I don't know if you guys know this game. There was this Xbox game called Otagi: Myth of Demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a From Software game. It's like a pre
Right.
Demon Souls
nice.
game, and they kind of share that similar sort of Japanese ghost yokai horror style that's really bizarre and fun to look at. I really like the way this game looks.
Yeah, they also both have a fixation on fingers.
Yes.
yeah,
Elden
which is
Ring
so
in this
funny to
game.
just
That's the
like-
trend of this generation of games is just
I know.
fingers.
Yeah, gross
From
fingers.
software, right?
Yeah. But yeah, you guys are right. The art style is gorgeous. It's like a I don't know what the word is. It's not present day Japan. It's like kind of like what Kyle alluded to, like the folklore, and there's no real time period associated with it, but it's definitely like not modern. But yeah, so during the day, you're like freeing villagers who have been captured by this presence. You are collecting these orbs to upgrade them. And basically what you're doing is freeing up this village and freeing up this path for the girl you're protecting, the cleansing girl, to make her way to a gate. Sometimes you can do that in one day. Sometimes the day shifts to nighttime. And when it shifts to nighttime, that's when this game becomes this more action-oriented game. So these demonic presence, like these forces, seethe out of the gates, and you have to attack them and basically stop them from reaching the woman you're protecting. She's like you can also die, but she's like your main objective. Don't let her lose her health. And you have to survive through the night, basically, through these waves. And the villagers that you free during the day are the villagers who fight alongside you at night. And they're kind of like the tower defense portion of this otherwise very real-time action segment of the game. So you can assign a villager to be a woodcutter, so they use an axe for like close-handed melee combat. There's archers, there's ascetics who use magic to slow down enemies. There are thieves, like there's a bunch of classes, and you assign villagers to each class, and then you kind of you can select where they need to stand and where they move around and how they interact on the battlefield to protect her, to attack with you. You're kind of managing this squadron of villagers, and it doesn't get too intense. It's never, at least so far in my 5 to 6 hours, the most I've had to control is like 8. I don't think we're going to get up to like dozens of villagers at once because that would be a little out of hand. But yeah, so you're kind of
each of those classes as well.
Yes, yeah, you collect these orbs to level them up and upgrade them, additional health, additional attack power, like all kinds of upgrades.
I wonder, Marcus, if we're about to ask the same question of Wes, who's further than us. Like, do you know if you can upgrade like yourself, or it's like you can only upgrade the villagers that you assign?
So far, I've only been able to upgrade the villagers. There are like talisman type collectibles that you can get that, for example, I've got one equipped that increases my health. Yeah. And so far, I've only got one I can equip, but it looks like I can equip a total of 3 at some point later in the game. And there are some very interesting ones. I was running this one that lowered my attack power but boosted all of my villagers' attack. And I found that was a really interesting little dynamic. But yeah, I think that's the only way so far to change your character's ability on the in battle. But yeah, again, I'm so early. It's like, who knows? But the story is not really much. You're just cleansing this mountain. But
there's no dialogue, right? If I'm not mistaken.
There.
Right?
I think I heard the maiden in the little menu. Yeah. Like, I think she said one thing, and I did a double take because I had looked away, and then I heard her say like something. I was like, did she just talk? Because she had been silent the whole time.
But I feel like every cutscene is like pantomimed conversation,
yes.
like right?
Yeah,
like, I believe so. Yeah,
cool. I like
for the most part. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this loop of during the day, I'm trying to free as many villagers, get this place ready for the fight that comes at night, and then protect her during the night and rinsing repeat. And so you do that, you make your way through these stages that are on the mountain, almost in like an overworld type map way. And then sometimes there's like a boss fight that's a separate stage. So you load into that boss fight stage and it's like its own unique boss. And I've already found that they are doing some really cool, unique things. God, sorry, there's a fly like flying around here. So if I'm going to get it.
You got to purify it.
Yeah. At first, the bosses were very much like, I'm just going to hit this thing as many times as I can. But I've already encountered just a few bosses in my early hours where I'm failing drastically and then having to rethink how I'm positioning my villagers. Instead of, I was trying to balance my team out. So if I had 5 villagers, I was like, I'll do 2 woodcutters, 2 archers, and like one of the ascetic mages. And I actually just beat a boss fight where I had all of them were ascetic mages to slow the boss down. And I was the only one that could damage. And I found that was super effective to take down an enemy. So I like that I'm being pushed to explore different team makeups because otherwise I am the type of person who just sticks with like a balanced makeup. And then, so that's all fun and stuff. And then outside of that, the only thing there else is to do is each stage you finish becomes a base. And that's where you take the villagers that you have and you start rebuilding the base, which is just finding something that needs to be repaired, which is on your map, and then you assign a certain number of villagers to it, and it'll say like this building won't be repaired for 1 stage worth of time. So that means you need to go complete a stage, and when you come back, it will be repaired. And I haven't really determined a strategy around that, but I'm just kind of going from base to base, and when I max out a base, I move on to the next one.
Did you guys make the mistake I did where I misunderstood what they meant by stages and I thought they just meant passage of time? So like when I first opened that, I had 2 going and I like, because you can speed up the clock. So I did that for like 5 consecutive days and I'm like, nothing seems to be changing. What is happening?
Yeah, totally.
I did the same exact thing.
Yep, yeah.
Okay.
Mine was it was like a 3-stage one and I was it takes a while to go through a full day and I'm like, oh, this is kind of clunky. This is not
It was like, there's no way they expect me to. They can't think this is fun. I must be doing
something
wrong.
And then after you do it, the game's like, yeah, we didn't.
Yeah. And it tracks your days in that specific moment, but there's no like larger mechanic tracking your days. So I was like, why can I do this? How can I just speed up time to pass 3 days and there's no punishment? It's because it literally does nothing. There's no point to doing it.
So don't speed up time. Hope you're watching villagers.
There you go. Pro tip.
Go complete some stages.
Have you, not to turn this into like a strategy guide, Wes, but like, have you found any reason to return to a village once you do all the repairs?
No, after I 100% it, I have not. I'm pretty sure you don't either, because on the overworld, the village it's like glowing
Yeah.
with like a white light, so it looks very much like you're done here.
That's
I
cool.
guess
Like that's a good thing, to be clear. I like sort
Yeah.
of the checklisty nature of it. It's like, all right, that one's done. Let me focus on this one, and let me do the stage over there. Yeah.
Same. You can replay stages, and there are objectives within each, which was, I don't really care because I'm not going to 100% each of these stages, but it was kind of annoying because the first stage I didn't complete any objectives, and it was like one of them was assign villagers to 3 different subclasses, and I only had 2 unlocked, and I'm like, I don't like that I can't do it on first try, because it kind of just makes me want to not, like, I'm not going to go back and play.
Though
each
you
stage
don't know
multiple
that
times.
because it's not until you finish it that pops up.
Yes.
So it's not like you go in being like, well, I can't do this. It's like, oh, after the fact, they want me to come back later. Okay, I see.
On one hand, I'm thankful because if they showed me the objectives beforehand, I probably would try to force myself to complete it. On the other hand, it is odd to get them after the fact. Like, it's like they want you to replay it. But so far, I've not seen a reason to replay it other than completing those objectives, which do unlock collectibles and new talismans for your character. But
they show some of them are like, oh, you will get a talisman for this. Which those are the ones I'm like, maybe I'll go back and do that. Because one was like, oh, beat this boss in like a minute. I was like, I could do that. I was like, I could totally do that. I should just do that.
I'm glad to hear you haven't found a need to replay stages, because that kind of worried me at first. I got stuck on like the second boss, and I was like, I don't want to go replay things. Is that what it's encouraging me to do? But then what I found was, like you, Wes, I just had to change my strategy and approach.
Yeah.
And like set up different villagers, and I was happy about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I know that boss you're talking about. We were talking about it before this, and it took me like 10 to 15 minutes to beat it with my weird strategy, and then the objective was like beat this boss in under 3 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I did something wrong. I beat it, but I was like, I'm clearly not optimized in this. So I am thinking a lot more about my villager makeup and how I'm approaching fights, way more than I was expecting to when I first started. I was like, okay, I get what this is. This is going to be a pretty chill strategy-esque game. But now I'm like, oh, I'm actually being really pushed to try different things. I just did a stage that was a totally brand new mechanic, completely changed the way that stages work, and it really forced me to rethink my strategy once more. So I'm really enjoying this, in that it's not a super crunchy like numbers strategy game, which usually do turn me off, and it's more of like a mechanical, almost like a puzzle game, like one of you mentioned earlier. It's fun to figure out ways to optimize it. I think it's going to be a sleeper hit of the year. I can see this going quietly into the night, although so far I don't think it should. It's great.
I've seen other people express the sentiment, and now I agree with it, where it feels like the game is like a long-lost PS2 game because of how just really weird it is in a way that you don't really see with a lot of big AAA games anymore.
Like in 5 years, you're going to meet people who played this, and you're going to have a connection with them,
Like between how hard it is to explain, and even the name is hard to like, this seems like almost like a sales like nightmare already, because it's like, if I tell you like, hey, you should play Kunitsu, like if I could pronounce like Kunitsu-Gami, the game with the strategy, but it's not, and then your friend goes, oh, I'll go Google that. Wait, how do I even spell that? Like, it just seemed like a hard game to discover, and like I keep thinking of, I don't even know why, because this is a different series, but it reminds me of the Deception series for some reason, like games like Trapped, which we did a super replay on years ago, of like the similar, like something is like of that vein of weirdness, like in that Deception Trapped weirdness, which is like a compliment. Like I've been enjoying how like unlike anything else that it is out there, but also like how nostalgic it is because of how weird it is. So I'm definitely gonna stick with it for a while. But
it's very Capcom before Capcom became masters at remaking their beloved games and putting out a Monster Hunter every. Like, Capcom is a very incredibly, like, they're firing on all cylinders lately, and I think this is another game that's a part of that. But this feels like older Capcom. This is like
their new, because last year their weird game that we were like, huh, was Exoprimal, and then that wound up being like, oh, this is better than I thought it would be. Now this is this year's version of that.
Like most of the
Yeah.
teams are doing like Resident Evil and like some Monster Hunter, but there's like this one team who's like, can we just do some like really weird stuff every year? And they're like, sure, whatever. do
Which
it.
is cool. Like to complement the giant Resident Evil and Monster Hunter releases, we're like, I don't know, we had some weird thing we're working on. We'll put that out. Like,
Yeah.
that's a good cadence to me. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I mean, that's why I took notice, because it's like, all right, Capcom's putting its weight behind this thing. You know, I want to see what it is, and it looks weird. And yeah, I actually kind of went into it like thinking like, it's not really my genre. I don't really like managing things or strategize. It's just not really what I like to do. But man, it's got its teeth in me. Like, I am really surprised. There's enough Pikmin in here where I'm kind of like, like, yeah, this, you know what, this is working for me. Where it's like, it's kind of like secretly a strategy game. Like, that's when it works for me. It's like
that comfortable strategy that Pikmin has, like that almost cozy strategy. Like, this is making me think enough, but it's not, again, like number crunching or anything.
Yeah. Like, I finished Shadow of the Erd Tree, Marcus, and now I'm kind of like, oh, what am I going to play? Should I go back to, I have like 10 hours into Persona 3. Do I pick that back up? I think we're going to talk about Flintlock. That was another one that I kind of dabbled with. But I think this is the one that's going to lock me in for a while. I've been impressed.
Nice. Congrats on being Elden Ring, by the way. You just casually threw that out there.
Yeah, I did have to sign up for a month of PlayStation Plus to call in some friends. So
does that mean it was pay to win?
I mean, it's honestly felt a little bit like I had to go literally change my credit card because I don't do like PS Plus and stuff. And like I was like, it's like, well, all right, I gotta update my credit card and pay $10 for a month so that I could call. And I literally did it like I signed up. I called in 2 people. It still took a bunch of tries, but I finally got 2 people to help me beat the final boss. And then I canceled the subscription.
Nice. It's not quite pay to win because From Software's summoning and co-op mechanics are so archaic and needlessly annoying that. Yeah, you can.
Also, I don't put that on.
You can spend a long time.
Yeah, that's not on From. That's on Sony. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about this. I hate From Software's like, here's how to play with your friends mechanics.
Oh yeah, no.
When I say friends, I mean just random people. It wasn't like literal friends. I just called in randoms, and it also kind of like doesn't work because so many people are trying to call in people out front of the end boss that it's like constantly like, nope, that didn't work. The summon didn't work. The summon didn't work.
Like in a queue.
You just have to sit there and like look, and the second you see the yellow start to come up from the ground, you're like, "That's mine. That's mine."
It's like the worst like mini game.
Yeah. I hate it. I hope their next game is just like a menu, and I can be like, "Here's my friend. Come join me."
Yeah, or just do another Sekiro.
I hope their next game is co-op only, like a what's the face, like an It Takes Two situation, but they don't fix the co-op. Like they're like, you have to do it this way, but we're not making it easier. That's the next Souls game. All right, well, Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess out now. Keep an eye on the website for Wes's full review once that's up. I've also been playing a kind of a smaller action-y game called Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. Doing a review on that right now. I'm probably maybe approaching halfway through the game. I'm not sure, but I think it's also billed as like similar in length to Kunitsu-Gami, like 20 hours ish. If you haven't seen this is a I'm trying to even now describe how they build it. I think their elevator pitch was Souls with God of War, in the sense that you're in this world that is ruled by these gods. It's sort of like a relatively modern world. Like it's a fantasy world, but like in terms of the technology, people have like muskets and pistols. So like maybe like
colonial almost, right?
Yeah, like 19th century maybe. If you like, but like if there were like weird fantasy monsters everywhere too. Like everyone's like you mentioned, got colonial uniforms and stuff like that. And you play as this woman who is trying to take down all of these gods that have somehow like ruined the world. I'm not still entirely sure about the details
like a
there.
That she blew up that led like in all these gods or something.
Yeah, or like and like dead people, like zombies have invaded too. Like basically like living corpses, and it's kind of her fault. So
it's a weird mix of like colonial and monsters and gods, and it's just all like stirred up. And then also they literally sprinkled like gunpowder over the whole dish because like gunpowder is like a crucial element of the world. Like everyone's always talking about gunpowder, and it's
like magic gunpowder too. Kinda too. I mean, I like it for that. Like you don't see fantasy sort of like in this box. Like it's not, you think of like high fantasy or maybe gritty fantasy like a Game of Thrones, where this is like, no, what if it was just like 19th century colonial armies, but then there was like a weird demon thing that showed up. And you're like,
It's unique. It's unique. It's interesting.
But then the character, I think Nor Vanek, I believe is her name. She teams up with this little fox god, and they have sort of like an initially uneasy alliance because she's like Kratos, where she's like, I hate all gods, I'm gonna kill him. But this guy's like, no, I don't like him either. I can help you out. You need me. And he becomes your sidekick for this thing. And it's an open world game, but not anywhere near the scale of something like an Elden Ring or I don't know, a Skyrim. It's sort of like a series of open hubs. Like you go through like different land masses that are like, to me, like just big enough without being overwhelming. Like it's big enough to feel like vast, but like digestible in that way. And the combat is a mix of like Souls-inspired combat in that the attacks are on the shoulder buttons. There's a dodging and parrying is important. But then you have the ranged element with your pistols and like rifles. And then you also have the little fox buddy whose name I forgot. Inky, I think is his name. He can kind of curse enemies, where if you hit triangle, he can kind of like swoop in and build up like a curse meter on enemies. And then when you hit them with your melee weapons, if you fill up their curse meter, it'll like send them in a variety of different sort of like status states. Like the first one you get can kind of like freeze them in time, and then you can just kind of wail on them with your axe, which is what you start with. She has kind of like a tomahawk that she uses. But I would say overall, like I think my biggest takeaway with this game thus far is that it is very, very fine. It is like it is almost like the ultimate version of fine in that it feels like a budget game in the way, almost going back to the PS2 discussion with Kunitsu-Gami. It feels like one of those sort of like middle of the road games that don't pop up anymore, kind of like the middle class of gaming, like a good 7-ish game, where I feel like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it feels like there's been a growing sentiment online of people, maybe, I don't know if defending's the word, but like being nostalgic for games in that bubble of like, sometimes I just want a good 7 game. Like it's not doing anything wild. It's rough in spots. There's some jank, but
it's heavily inspired by other games, and you can see those inspirations. But it did have a bit of a budget, but we're not talking like AAA budget. Like it's
like
there.
the
scope, it works well, but yeah,
it's like the scope just outsteps the budget.
Right.
It's like,
yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Like this game's doing a lot, and I don't think the money or maybe even the expertise is all the way there, because the things that it's emulating, it falls short of its inspirations. But there is a charm about it that is keeping you there. Like the combat, it's
got heart, right? It's got heart.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, it's like, you know what, you're trying and it's not always working, but I almost appreciate the effort, or the idea of it more than the execution. And that's kind of where I'm at with most of it. Of like, the execution isn't all the way there, but the idea is cool. Like, I think the most unique thing this game does is that it has an interesting sort of like risk reward system with how you earn souls. So like every time you do not only like a bunch of combat stuff, but even like actions like sliding down like a ramp style like landmass, you get these points that are basically your souls that accumulate, and you can cash them in any time by hitting the button on the D-pad. But unless you do, they just sit there, and if you get hit, they will reset to 0. So it's like if you go into a combat encounter and you just start doing really well, like, oh, I'm hitting all these different combos and I'm mixing up my attacks, and you're building up how many souls you're gonna get from that encounter, and then someone just blindsides you, then it sets to 0. So you're like, oh man, I should have banked that during the fight. But then sometimes you have such a low number that you're like, well, I'm gonna kill some dudes to try to get that up to like 100. But then the longer you go, the more at risk you are. I think that's an interesting sort of like risk reward system for a genre that is already pretty risk reward, because it does the souls thing of like when you die, you have to go back to the spot and get your experience and stuff like that. But it's like another layer on top of that. And I like the way that kind of like adds even more tension to the fights. What do you think?
Do you have like the longer you let it linger, the longer it what am I trying to say? The longer you let it linger, the longer it builds up.
Right.
Do you
Like,
have to let it linger?
Yeah, you have to let it
Do you
linger. Once you cash it in, it sets back to 0. So you're just kind of deciding, like, you know what? It's almost like a.
But you should
like
cash in after every enemy you defeat, right? Like,
well, not every, because if you kill like one guy, and if you kill him in a pretty unremarkable way, you'll get like 5, and you're like, well, what's that? That's like nothing. So you're like, I want to build up, like, kill a few good things, but it is that casino thing of like, should I push my luck and just cash this in now, or could I go get into another big fight and then, potentially double this? Because that's the only way you're earning experience. Like, you're not really. It's not so much that the enemies. Well, I shouldn't say. I was gonna say it's not so much that the enemies drop a set amount of experience so that you can farm them the way you do in a traditional Souls game. Of like, oh, I know this guy drops 500 souls no matter what. It's kind of based on like your performance more so that fluctuates how much you get. Like, oh, I did all this. I parried and then I died. I did a perfect dodge and then I did this cool combo, and now I've got more points than if I maybe just went in and shot him in the face and killed him instantly. So it encourages performance while also kind of like challenging, like, how far do you want to push it? How good do you think you actually are? Do you want to go into another fight and keep that thing going? The only problem with it is that because the combat is not really anywhere near as refined as something like Souls, I feel like I've taken a lot of hits that I shouldn't have, or been frustrating because the parry timing is not what I want it to be. And I think parry timing in games is really hard to pull off. I still think Sekiro is the best parry game ever. So like,
hard to beat.
When you have and it's weird because the combat's not even like. It's a weird thing where it's not even hard. Like, the individual enemy encounter, for the most part, you can just like bowl right over them. But then it's hard because the attacks are tricky to read in a way that it's like, it's not like intentionally tricky of like, oh, I got to study this guy, and then you start to see your openings. It's more like I just feel like the timing feels off, or the animations feel off. Does that make more sense? Like, it feels like unintentionally tough to read, so where like I've been like, I should have parried that. Like, I thought I was ready and it seems like I didn't. What is the window here? So that's where the kind of like the lack of, I don't even know if I'd say polish in this sense. I think it's just lack of refinement, like, it's not like broken. And outside of that, like the combat, again, it's like fun enough, even if it has like its problems. It's like decently entertaining. I'd say the thing that I like the most is sort of the exploration stuff. Like, there are these like, so you're navigating this decently large open world, and you can find these cool shortcuts where instead of doing the Soul style shortcuts of like dropping a ladder or opening a door, they have these like kind of like terminals that you're unlocking that open these magic, like, not teleporting, but they basically like you gain the ability to fly all over the place by like hitting a button. I feel like there's a game that I could compare it to, but I'm blanking on. But like, I don't know if you've seen them, Kyle, but like you pretty much open up this network of like flying airways where like you could start walking from one side of a town to another, open one of these nodes, and then by hitting triangle, you'll unlock all these like kind of fly points where you're just zipping around very quickly, but it's like timing based. It's not automatic. Like, you have to like zip to one, then like if it's too far away, maybe do like an air dash to get within range of the next one, and then hit triangle to then zip to whatever the next one is that you're targeting. And that's pretty fun. And I think that's a fun, like, streamlined way to get around.
Is it like Jedi Survivor? That's kind of what I feel like.
Oh, maybe. I mean,
yeah, maybe the
functionally,
I don't know if that's what
it
you're
is the
thinking
thing that like in trailers for the game made me go like, oh, I want to try this when it comes out. Frankly, like that. Sort of like you're flying basically, and I mean, essentially, it's functionally the same as like a zip line or something.
It's like in the ballpark.
Jedi Survivor had.
There's more
like
like
it's
more
Forspoken had it kind of where you could like grab onto things and like it would launch you. Like it functionally it serves that purpose, but it feels cool and it looks cool, and it is the thing that I like the most, maybe, in terms of like the unique mechanics. Is like the way you can sort of fast travel, quote unquote, within one area is really cool and it looks cool.
Yeah, I'm with you that I think that's my favorite mechanic in the game so far, and it encourages exploration because there's things like on rooftops or in towers that you need those to reach, and you can do like you can exit out of them in different ways, where you can either like boost out of them and you'll do like one final like air dash, or you can jump out of them and you'll get like a high jump so you can like reach a really high perch coming out of them with them. So I think that stuff is fun, but like outside of that, it's pretty basic open world stuff. Like the side quests that I've done so far are pretty boilerplate. The characters I've met, like I think the performances are pretty good, but like the characters I've met so far, I haven't met anyone that's like wowed me. It's like, oh, okay, this guy or whatever. I think graphically, it's probably the most sort of like, yeah, there was a budget here, or like a limited budget, because it doesn't look great either in performance or in quality mode. So I honestly say like just play it in performance and get whatever boost there is, which isn't super noticeable, but it's like, I mean, it's like the graphics have a ceiling where like quality is so negligible that you may as well just stick with performance and get whatever you can out of it. So
do you do quality, Marcus? I
usually no. I mean, I usually do perform. It does default for performance in this game, but I check just out of curiosity because I was like, oh, this doesn't look super great. Maybe quality looks better, and you're like, oh, I can't tell the difference. But generally, depending on the game, I'll do performance unless it's something that doesn't demand it.
I do quality unless they have that nice balanced mode or not balanced, but not many devs do it, but Insomniac does, where if your monitor or TV can do like 120 or 144 hertz, they'll do that weird thing to where you can play it at 4K but with 40 hertz, and it's really nice. But not many devs do it. But I'm a sicko who does quality almost always over performance.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
even in something like a Souls, like something that
Elden Ring
would really help.
No, those are like the exception. But for the most part, like if a game is like billing part of its appeal on visuals, then I am like, I want the 4K. I'll take, because 30 frames, obviously not as great as 60, but after like 20 minutes, 30 frames kind of disappears for me, and I'm just like, this is what the game looks like. Now, if I do that thing where you switch to performance and you go back and it's like, oh no, this is bad.
Yeah. I don't mind 30. Like I am not a frame rate sicko. Like if the game runs at 30, that's totally fine. But if you give me the choice, I'm always going to go for the higher frame, you know?
Yeah.
Sure. Which it does default to performance for Flintlock. So that maybe they're on the money there with that one. But yeah, other than that, like I said, it seems like a totally just like at best competent action game that has a few unique ideas. We'll see how it goes, but it's kind of like, that's kind of where in my head I'm hovering. Like, yeah, this is in the 7-ish range so far, which isn't like terrible by any means. It's just sort of like, you know, it feels like Destiny would be one of those games, maybe like Kunitsu-Gami, albeit maybe less good, but for like remember Flintlock? Like there's like, it feels like one of those games is gonna get like passionate defenders 5 years from now, but like, man, y'all slept on Flintlock.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Remember when you could zip around the world as that little fox thing? How much fun that was? And you're like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
You had an axe.
Yeah,
it feels like it gives me 2024's Immortals of Avium vibes, where that game was trying to do some things and some of it worked, some of it didn't, and it was like kind of in that weird AA, AAA space. I know Immortals of Avium they said AAA, but like, I don't know, felt a little under AAA to me. But yeah, or 2022's Evil West, which is a great game as well.
Yeah. Got a weird name like Immortals of Avium where you're not immediately sure what it is, or like which game is that again?
The subtitled game, even though we probably don't need a subtitle.
Yeah, I will say though, the colonial like aesthetic, it does lend itself to some interesting outfits, because like my character basically looks like a mix between Cody Rhodes and like a Beatle during the Sgt. Pepper era. So I'm kind of like, well, I don't play a lot of games where I get to look like this specifically, so that's kind of neat.
Trying to think that if like, it's like, oh, you know what? They should do like just a legally distinct Sgt. Pepper's outfits for like 4-player co-op games. Yeah, like Left 4 Dead. They should all be able to dress up as the Sgt. Pepper outfit.
We need more Sgt. Pepper in our video games. That's really the moral right here.
Beatles Rock Band wasn't enough.
It truly was not. All right, but yeah, Flintlock Siege of Dawn out, I think, as of today that this podcast is out, so you can go and check it out for yourself. Let's see. We've also got Kyle.
I was wondering if you got my message that I sent you, and I
did get your message.
Hey, that's where. All right.
And that message is that you cannot wait to talk about Nintendo World Championship NES Edition.
Right, yeah, we forgot to add it to the queue, but and I was googling when it comes out. But yeah, this is like a funky one that kind of, I don't know, came out of nowhere to me, where it's like there's 13 Nintendo developed published Nintendo games, NES games. And what the game is it lets you basically do the, that 80s World Championship competition where like you would speed run like single player games. And that's what it is. It's like it feels like if you took the WarioWare Nintendo micro games and just made that like the whole game and focused on NES games. Like that's kind of what you get, because it's like a series. It's like I said, there's 13 NES games, and each one of those has like 8 to 15 challenges, and some of them are as simple as like the Mario ones are like just grab that first mushroom. You see how fast you can do that, right? And that's like 5 seconds, 4 seconds. And then the ultimate challenge for Mario Brothers is like beat all of the original Mario Brothers, but you have to use the warp tunnels because you're speed running it. You want to go as quickly as possible. And like the Zelda challenges are like, get the sword, and then the final one is like beat a full dungeon, stuff like that, And I'm not really an NES kid. I certainly like have some fondness and nostalgia for NES games, but like my first console was a Super Nintendo. And I find increasingly that Nintendo games are tough to go back to. Like truly, like they really are. They're hard to play. I like the visuals of them, but they don't play very well, and they're really tough. And what this game is successful at doing is like literally making you play these Nintendo games for the exact amount of time that they're fun. Like truly, like right, like it's like go jump on a Goomba. Okay, we're done with that challenge now. You know what I mean?
The QA people testing it, they had a timer next to them, and they were like, "The moment you hate this, please let us know, and that's when we'll cut this off."
Yeah, and I mean, and I think it works really well for these old NES games, and as a result, like I had a decent time with it. And it's funny, I played the local multiplayer mode with my daughter, and that was like the perfect test case of like someone who has like zero nostalgia for any of this stuff. This is just old stuff that old people like, and she like had a decent time with it because it's just enough to be like, oh, this is what these games used to be. This is what Mario used to look like. Oh, let's play we're gonna play like 3 or 4 rounds where we each play like 5 seconds of a level, and I think it's kind of fun and weird and cool in that way.
Yeah, and then after that, you showed her the Wizard, right?
Yeah, that's right. I did actually mention the Wizard in my review.
I would love to see 2024 kids' reaction to the Wizard. I would like to see that.
Gosh, have we watched it with her? I wonder. There was it might have been on at some point, just as like a weird experiment when she was really
like
young,
with that video game competition at the end, like register was like, as a kid, this looked like the coolest thing ever in the era of like esports and selling out stadiums and stuff.
I wonder. I mean, it is sort of a history lesson on like the sort of esports kind of where where it kind of sort of started, I guess you could say. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to put that all
the
on.
Wizard : the first esport.
Well, I mean, but it was a real competition. Like
it was real,
yeah.
I don't think it had this. Oh, actually, I was gonna say, did it have the same bombast? But I remember seeing videos of the real ones. Like, actually, it kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, in the trailers for the game, they show clips of it and stuff. And it's funny because when the game starts up, it is kind of like, you probably don't know what this is, but there used to be competitions like this back in the day.
Way to assume.
So like my review should be on the site. I gave it a 7.75. It's kind of shallow. It's kind of like empty calories kind of gaming, but it's like it's fun to look back at those old games. I also got kind of frustrated with the way the currency works. Is like you spend 50 coins to unlock a challenge, which like only rewards you like 20 coins if you do it decent. Right? But if you do it really well, if you get like the S rating, which is very difficult because these are challenging games, like maybe you get enough coins to purchase the next challenge. And I kind of hit a wall pretty quickly where I was like, well, I don't have enough coins to get anything.
You're like replaying stages just to unlock the next challenge.
Yeah, I was like, well, I got
you almost
B's
have to master
on all
a stage.
Like, I guess I'll go play all the ones I got B's on to try to get A's or S's. But then you can go. They have like weekly leaderboard challenges and stuff. And you can go online and earn coins by like participating in those. There's no online multiplayer in the traditional sense. It's not like, which is Marcus had to help me. I could not remember the name of Super Mario 35. that came out a couple
Yes.
years ago. You know,
Rest
where
in
you
peace.
yeah, right, where you all was it Mario 1 or was it Mario 3 that you played?
Mario 1.
Okay, where you all
Mario
are like
Brothers 1.
simultaneously racing in Mario 1. It's not like that. The local multiplayer mode plays like that, and that's like up to 8 people, and that's cool. Like that's a good party game, especially for like if you have nostalgia for those games, or even if you don't. Like I said, it worked well with my daughter. She thought it was pretty fun. But like the quote unquote online modes are like you're playing against other players as ghosts and stuff like that. Which I actually like because then you can just kind of like keep retrying the challenges
Can
over
you
and
see
over.
them? Like a Mario Wonder
Yeah.
kind of thing?
The way it actually displays is like you play like 3 rounds, and then the first round, you know, the you have to be one of the top 5, and the next round you have to be one of the top 2 or whatever, and then the next round it's like 1v1. And the way it displays everyone's runs on screen, and then you have your own little screen that you're playing on. So you can see what everyone else is doing. You can also change the settings so it blows up your screen, which I did. But I liked that it was like kind of, it's online and there's rewards for participating, but it's not actively online where you're waiting for servers and other players. Like you can just kind of tackle the challenge as many times as you'd like, which is pretty fun. And then you do get a lot of coins for that. So you can jump over there to get coins and stuff like that. But it's charming. It's a charming, nostalgic game that because the subtitle, speaking of games that don't need subtitles, is NES Edition. It's Nintendo World Championships : NES Edition. I would love to see them do other games like that. I would love a SNES Edition. I would love an N64 Edition. I don't know if that's in the cards. Probably depends on how well this does. They also didn't. I don't think they were doing Nintendo World Championships for like SNES and N64 games at that point. But like, you can pretend they were. That's fun.
I thought it went up to SNES before they stopped doing them.
I mean, maybe I would totally believe it. But an interesting game. If you have nostalgia for the NES era, like it's a cool excuse to just play little bite-sized chunks of like. There are 13 different NES games on there, so it's charming in that way.
Do you feel ready for when Nintendo inevitably announces that the championships are coming back? Do you think you're ready to go?
They did one at E3 one year.
They brought it back a couple years in like the Wii U era.
Yeah, and the Mario Maker era. I remember I interviewed the guy who won. And in the interview, he sort of offhandedly said that he was going to sell his trophy. And I put that in the interview, and people got mad at him and took it out on me online. It was a weird thing. It was like one of those
chain there.
Yeah, it was like one of those moments where people were like really upset with me for like misquoting this guy, and I'm like, I just wrote what he said.
Well, I thought they were mad at you for
weird.
asking the question, or I don't know. That's weird. Yeah. Do you think he was hurting for money? He's like, I gotta eat. I gotta get rid of this trophy.
Yeah, right.
I gotta flip this thing. Like you don't understand.
So that's a fun memory of the Nintendo World Championships for me. But bring it back, Nintendo. Why? It's cool. Let's do it with I don't know, Switch games, I guess. Let's do it.
Yeah, especially in this economy, I need some trophies to sell. Get some groceries. All right. I guess. Did you look up when that's out?
Let's see. I have it. It comes out July 18th. So
there you go.
So it'll probably be out by the time you're listening to this, and the review is on GameInformer.com.
There you go. This weekend, I and you, Kyle, and I don't know if you played Wes, but I know you played the preview build. We dived into the Concord beta, which is Sony's new 5v5 live service game that looks a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's not. Very much Overwatch or just hero shooter inspired. We talked about it before, Wes, because you got to play it before all of us, but now we have all had a chance to dive into it. I will say my initial reaction was that it was, I don't want to say more fun than I thought, because listening to you, Wes, you kind of put that over like, oh no, this is better than you think. So I was like, okay, yeah. I could believe that. And it was fun. But then also, to your earlier point about how they're going out of their way to like, almost like, you will like these characters. Like you will get invested in this IP. There, that opening cutscene, that surprisingly long cinematic at the start of the game was like frustrating and annoying, not because it wasn't well done. Like it looked great, just like it was rendered really well and the animation was nice and the performances were fine. But it was like the knowing of like this isn't gonna go anywhere. This isn't a single player game. Like you're spending so much time. Like you're almost
what
mad.
was
Like
the cutscene? Is it them getting the map, like, and gaining access to be free gunners? Okay, yeah, they showed us that.
And then the green guy was like hitting on the computer.
Yeah, what was that all about? I was like, are they in love? Like there was a weird relationship there.
Yeah,
that's the cutscene that will open the game when it launches too. They told us, so you'll get to watch it again.
Cool.
Is it like twice as long as that Overwatch opening cinematic with Winston?
Oh, it feels like it, but I don't know. Blizzard cinematics, that's a high bar. I don't know if I fault them for not matching that quality because Blizzard's like almost in a league of their own. But yeah, whenever you're jumping into that same genre,
it looks nice. It's just more like it's so much up front. Like it is, like you said, it's the reverse Overwatch where like that wasn't really the point, but they did such a good job at what they gave you that it made me like organically interested. Like I would like to learn more about Winston. He seems cool. Whereas this one's like, we're gonna give you everything up front, and it's like, but this isn't. You're not doing it in a way I would like to absorb this. Like I almost feel like I don't want to stop trying to trick me into thinking this is something that it's not.
Yeah, like it's almost like if it had been a reward for hitting level 5 or something. You know, I'm sort of just throwing out arbitrary numbers there of just like when you've had a chance to sort of play with the characters and stuff. And it's like, and it feels like we're complaining about it a lot. It's fine. It's like it's you know, you could probably skip it, but I didn't want to skip it because I felt like I shouldn't be skipping it. And then I don't know. I got into the game, and I'm not an online shooter guy. I really don't play a lot of online games. But me and Alex streamed it for an hour on Friday, and I found a character that I really liked, and I was having a good time with it. Guys, I almost voluntarily played it for fun over the weekend. I mean, that's where I was at.
All right.
Look at you.
What derailed you?
Look at me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you, Kyle. Like, I'm not the biggest multiplayer shooter guy. Overwatch 1 was one of the very few that like broke through and was like, oh no, this is cool. I want to willingly spend time with this. And I could perhaps see myself with this game because I think it plays really well. It moves nice. It looks nice. I only played as Lennox, the Dragon Man looking dude. But he wound up
him after like one match. I was like, Linux is not my guy. Sorry, Linux. I know you're the star of this game for some reason, but
at least maybe ostensibly he is. But I mean, I guess he fit my playstyle because you start with him by default, and I was like, actually, I'm stick with this guy. And also, at least for hero shooters, I try to stick with one character just to learn like how does this game work. Let me just instead of jumping around too quickly. I only ever picked the astronaut lady, the one that's like in a spacesuit.
Yeah,
like the astronaut suit.
I liked her. She looks like a member of like a low budget like 60s sci-fi show, like early Star Trek, right? Like is what her costume kind of looks like, which I liked. I thought that was charming.
Right, she was on the rooftop in Independence Day with those idiots that got blown up. He was like one of them. Yeah. And I only picked her by mistake. That's the only reason why I picked her, because I was trying to pick Linux again when I died. But she seemed all right. But yeah, I don't. He's like, I don't even know what really to say specifically about it other than, this seems well made so far. Like it's quick, it's snappy. At least for Linux, I liked his abilities. The interface is pretty nice. It felt good to get in there, and I played like multiple rounds in a row. Like I think I got up to level 6, which was one of the like milestones for one of the like battle paths or unlockable things. And I was kind of my goal. I was like, well, I'm gonna get to level 6 because I think I opened up like another like menu
mode
tab
or something, right?
Something. Yeah. Which I have not like looked into yet because the beta is over now, but it's coming back. I think it's this weekend that they're opening it up again.
Okay.
I think it's the 18th maybe, which would be Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, I found
it opens the 18th and goes through the 21st, which is
okay,
Sunday. Yeah, Thursday through Sunday, and that's an open beta, so everyone on PlayStation and PC can play that.
Yeah, check it out. I jumped around characters quite a bit, and then I landed on Itzy is her name, which I like. The name is really lame.
Is that is that the Nightcrawler looking?
Yeah, she has a tail. Like I really liked playing as her because she had like a really cool her submachine gun felt really good. Everyone's guns feel good, but then she can also like teleport, and then when she does her dodge, she would like clone herself to like make a distraction version. And it was funny because I was like enjoying myself and having a decent time. I was like, oh, the guns feel pretty good. But when I started playing as her, I was like, oh, I'm having a blast now. I happened to find a character that I really liked, which is what it takes in these kinds of games, you know?
Yeah.
Did you guys mess with the crew stuff at all? Because so in my preview, I kind of touched on it a little bit. Like while there, I was trying to get a grasp on it, and I was watching some streams over this weekend of it just because I had a long car ride and I was bored. And the person I was watching kind of clicked into place something that I thought might be happening when I played it. And I'm curious if you guys made the crew decks or whatever they're called at all.
I didn't understand. I opened it, like I went into it like at the tail end of my session with it, and I like read it and then stared at it, and I was like, I am not in the mood to figure out what this is, so I didn't. So what is it exactly?
It is confusing. Yeah, so you like make your crew that you bring into a match, and that's like your roster of heroes that you'll personally choose from or want to choose from. And there are crew perks, which this was really interesting to me when it finally clicked. Because I was it's a really unclear system. And even when I was like at PlayStation playing the game, I was really struggling to get a grasp on it, and watching streams over the weekend, I got it. So you have your crew perks, and you use one character and they have one perk, and I forget, like you just unlock that perk after doing so much with that character. That perk then carries over into the rest of your crew. So ideally, you play with one character, you get their perk unlocked in a match. And then when you have it, you switch to the next character who gets that perk you just unlocked and has their own perk. So then you want to unlock theirs. So that puts 2 perks active. Then you want to switch to another character, and it carries over the perks. So depending on how long a game is, you could get to your last character in your crew and have like 4 to 5 different perks active, which would greatly change how you play. Almost in a way where it's like, I don't know if you should be sticking to a specific hero for an entire match. Like I think you do want to do that weird unlock perk, pull it over to your next character, and continue that trend going, which at least it's interesting, very confusing, and I thought so, and it's clear, speaking to you two, that you guys didn't understand it either. Like they definitely need to massage the mechanic a bit, because it doesn't feel natural.
Guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's no
but I think that's
tutorial
cool
in the
that
beta.
it's like you get bonuses for switching. That's interesting.
Yeah,
because that was one thing that frustrated me too, was that there was no tutorial in the beta. Like it's there, but you can't use it. So like, that's where I went to. I was like, well, let me learn how to play this game. I was like, oh, well, I guess we're doing it live. But okay, so wait, is there a size limit to the crew? Because they gave what looked like the starter crew, and it looked like just the whole roster, which I was like, what's the point of having your whole roster be a crew?
I don't have the number in front of me. I want to say it's like 5 or 6, or it might be a situation where you can have the whole roster, but obviously in one single match you're not going to need all 16 or however many characters. So maybe they want you to be like,
Wes?
maybe they want you to like pick 4 or 5 and like focus on them. But yeah, I think that's a cool differentiator from something like Overwatch, which you are encouraged to kind of stick to your character for the sake of your team comp, which is another thing Concord. Actually, I'm curious, what do you guys think? So they told me there's not really team comps. There's not a tank. There's not an assault. There's not support, like on paper. But when I was playing, and even with the other journalists I played with, it was like, all right, I think we need someone to pick Star Child because he's a tank, and somebody needs to be a healer. Did you guys feel that kind of role play happening in the game? Or
it felt, because I mean, even in the menu selection, I thought I saw little tabs where I was like, I know this isn't one of those, but these tabs almost indicate that, oh, well, these characters are kind of similar.
Yeah, it's like brawler and words like that, I believe, or something.
Yeah, which is like, is that not a class? How is this different? So
they're there. Yeah.
Sure. I don't think it's as freeform as they maybe want you to believe. Because even watching other people play, like there were people I would avoid because it's like, I don't think my class can handle that class. You know what I mean? Like, or at least not by myself. I need someone else to be here, like a tank or something. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll wind up being a moot point, you know?
Yeah.
But okay. Now that I know about the how the crew works, I'll probably mess around with it when the beta opens up again this weekend, and see how I like it. But I am positive on it so far. There's a part of me, and
Same.
maybe the game has this, who knows, we haven't played the full game, because of how much narrative there is, it almost makes me wish they do like an exoprimal thing of like weaving that into a multiplayer framework. Like I think that game did that better than maybe any other game of like telling a single player story in a multiplayer game. So it makes me wish like, man, if they just copied Exoprimal basically or did something similar, maybe that would be a better way to absorb this story that you're so desperate to tell everybody. Otherwise, I don't know. It just seems like it's cool that you put the effort in, but I mean, is there going to be an ending? No? Then
yeah, that's the question.
So why should I care? But yeah, that's Concord. We'll see how the second beta shapes up now that everyone will be in this time. I'm excited to get back into it and mess around with it. Maybe I'll pick the little Nightcrawler demon girl. See how I like her.
Yeah, I like her. She was cool.
The last game I have to talk about is Zenless Zone Zero. The old ZZZ came out a couple weeks ago. Have you guys, Kai, I think you said you tried it. Have you fired it up at all, Wes?
I downloaded it and I started it, but like literally, I'm talking like 3 minutes. Like I attacked 3 enemies and then I just, the timing of my life, I was like, oh, I gotta go make dinner, so I had to like turn it off.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it was as fun as the average NES game for you.
Yeah, that's right. I stopped playing the moment it stopped being fun. But I've been keeping an eye on this game for a while. When I was the mobile editor at GameSpot for a little stint there, this was one I was like always talking to them about.
Was it announced that long ago?
Yeah, no, it was a while ago.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
And I was always like, can we please? I want to talk about this game because it is like a mobile and PlayStation game, and Hoyoverse is so huge with Genshin Impact and everything. I just like the way it looks. I think the animation is incredible. The one of the opening cutscenes, I was like, yeah, this looks really nice. But I haven't touched the video game part of it at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's maybe my favorite part about this game, besides the combat that I'll talk about, is that it like oozes style. Like if this was like old Giant Bomb Game of the Year where they had like best style, this would be like a front runner. Like it's got almost like a Jet Set Radio / like maybe like Hi-Fi Rush / like Reboot, like the TV show Reboot kind of vibe to it that I'm really liking. I think like there's so much personality in this game, like in everything, whether it's like the exaggerated animations and like reactions from the characters to even just the way it's like even taking something as basic as like what's essentially like board game navigation that I'll touch on in a bit and making that as like cool looking as they can. I love just looking at this game. I'm gonna like try and probably fail to explain the premise because I'm still trying to figure out exactly how things work in this world. But like going back to the Reboot comparison, it's kind of that where you play as this brother and sister who are called proxies, and they basically are like helpers for people called agents that infiltrate a potentially digital world that if you stay in too long, you become a horrible monster. And also it's illegal for them to be doing this. So you're technically like a bandit of sorts or a criminal to like do missions and maybe find treasure or something like that. But just like the separation of like, you're like the man in the chair guiding the people who you actively control during like combat and stuff like that. And they're like, all right, you're going to go into the hollow, I think it's called.
Wait, so it's like a Matrix situation?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's either like a Matrix or a Digimon or a Reboot situation. It's like in that
Sword
ballpark.
Art Online.
Yes, it's very much in that vein, even if I could not like definitively define what it actually is that you're going to.
Right.
But another world, we'll say, or something. And like there is a main story, which is like, you know, all Hoyoverse games like Genshin and what was the other, Honkai? Star Rail, like they all have like main story and like missions and stuff like that. And like I will say the initial premise does have me like somewhat hooked, where I'm like, okay, I want to see some stuff here, like some things with like a hacker that reaches out and just sort of like the world setup of just this like this like online ring of people that do the thing that you do, but you're like the best one. Like you're like famous, but nobody knows who you actually are because they're the brother and sister's day job is that you work in a video store. Like it's as futuristic as everything is in this world. You just sell like VHS tapes to people as your day job, and that's like your hub is just like your little dinky video store. But like when you're in the Hollow, and you're playing as the three agents who are like, there's like three main story agents, and then you can like, because it's a gacha game, you can get other agents that are more kind of like generic. Like the free one they give you is like this maid who has like a giant like pizza cutter weapon, like that one weapon from Bloodborne. And she's like, oh, I'm afraid of everything, but I'm also like really good at fighting. That archetype. and
We all
and, like,
know we all have that friend.
And I would say the combat is like really fun. Like I think that like because like Genshin was more like a basically Breath of the Wild fantasy, and then Honkai is kind of like a turn-based RPG. And this is straight up just like, no, we just really like Devil May Cry more or less. Where you're going in there and you're doing like these really stylish combos, but you're controlling three party members at once that you can switch to instantly by hitting the shoulder buttons. So you can do like a thing where like hitting mid combo, then hit R1, and then your other teammate just comes in and then like keeps juggling someone. Because one of them is one of them is like a sword wielder, one of them's like a gunslinger guy, and then the third one is like she has like a big cannon that does like some like status ailment damage. So it's kind of like building your 3-person team to kind of like either complement each other or whatever strategy that you kind of want to go for, because they all have like different roles and stuff. But like going back to how good everything looks, like the animation and like the style when you're just like blasting through these enemies, it just looks and feels really good. There's a parry system where like instead of parrying an attack, you can parry by switching to another character. So like right before an attack lands, if you hit the switch button, that character will run in and parry and then do like a big
cool.
follow-up attack, and it looks super cool. And then you're building up to like big flashy finishing moves that each character has, and that's been fun, is just running around just like tearing through these weird looking kind of like monster things. But then in between fights, like the way you traverse the hollows is like it's like this like it's like a board game. It's the best way I can describe it, where you're moving down tiles, and then every tile is like one tile is either a combat encounter, and then you like zoom in and you're in the combat arena, or you're finding treasure, or just like activating buttons to get new paths to get to where you want to go. And the presentation, like it just looks like a wall of like CRT televisions. And again, going back to how much style this game has, like it looks neat. Like just the animation, even when you're just moving from TV to TV, like there's like a bounce to it, or just like a fluidity where it's just like, okay, they could have just made this like you just selected, but they really wanted to make this look like it has like personality to it. And there's like puzzle solving there, where like there's even like box puzzles in this thing, where you'll find like little box tiles that you have to push on the button tile so that the button stays, and you open like the exit or something like that. So it's not like an open series of like levels that you're just running through. You're just doing this, and then if you get into a tile that is combat, then that's when you're doing combat. And then like outside of that, when you're into like the real world, I guess, in the video story, like it's got like a smallish open world that I forgot who said it, but I heard someone compare it to Splatoon's kind of open hub, and it does remind me of that, just in
Like
terms
a little
of,
city block kind of thing, right?
yeah, like you're talking to characters like vendors to buy stuff or do little side quests for. But it's kind of like, at least as far as I've seen, I don't know if it gets any bigger, because I'm still relatively early too, but I played about 2 hours so far. But it's like in that scale. But yeah, it seems like fun. It has like interesting hooks. Obviously the further you play, that's when kind of because it's a free game, and if you play Genshin or Honkai, like there's microtransactions because it's a gacha game. I played probably about like 15 hours of Genshin and really liked it, and never spent any money, and never felt the need to spend money, because I feel like they give you like so much that you're like, I don't know, I like the game, but I don't think I like it enough to ever feel the need to spend money, because I feel like I'm fine with what I got.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping this retains that. The other thing is that there's like 19 different currencies in this game, so I can barely tell which one even costs real money, to be honest with you, because they give you so much, and you're like, well, what is the premium currency? Do I even have any? I'm gonna assume no, but I've been able to buy and unlock and upgrade things with like the 6 that I have now, so I think I'm good. But with these kind of games, you gotta wait till you get like 10, 15 hours deep before whatever friction that could be there starts to show itself. But I feel like I never played Honkai Star Rail, so I can't speak to that one. But I feel like Genshin, at least in my time with it, which would have been like launch period Genshin, it felt like a good one of those. Like it didn't. I never felt like pressured at all to be like, I should I'm not gonna succeed if I don't spend money. And I feel like that's been the sentiment from like at least my friends that kept with Genshin and played like the expansions and stuff. They're like, oh no, I barely ever spend anything. I hope they, I hope that's true here. But it's a well-made thing. Like I'm probably gonna like maybe just check in with it every now and then, because I do kind of want to see where the main story goes. Like there's some weird things that happen in that prologue.
Yeah,
But
I am scared of free to play games like this in general, but I do want to spend some time with this.
it's got a vibe.
Yeah.
It's got a neat vibe. What about you, Wes? Do you think you'll be checking out the ZZZ?
I also try to stay away. The vibe is, this has been the most of their games that I've wanted to check out. Just because Genshin's not really my style. Honkai is just very sci-fi, which I've got enough sci-fi to play in my backlog. But I really like the like Y2K cyberfunkish type vibe that is going in Zenless. But I try to stay away from not just free to play, but the free to play games where there are randomized elements of buying things, because I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff and I know myself. So if there's a cool character I want, I will spend money that I shouldn't spend on it. So I'm trying to resist the urge, which is going well so currently because there's a lot to play. But I see more and more of this game and I'm like, it is very cool. Also, it's on mobile too, and I don't know if there's cross progression, but that seems dangerous for my tendencies as well. So I'm like, I need to be careful.
You're just staying away.
I've heard it runs very well
for
on
your
phones,
health
which
and
I
bank account.
Yeah, I play Fortnite regularly and I spend too much on skins already there. Like I don't need another game where I'm spending money on cosmetics and other, although these aren't even just cosmetic. This is like game changing stuff. So I respect it from a distance, and hopefully I can retain discipline and continue to respect it from a distance.
Kyle, I'm gonna break your disciplines. Now that I know your favorite character in Concord, I unlocked a character in Zenless Zone Zero that is a blue devil lady.
All right.
So, right up your alley there. I'm just saying, she seems pretty all right. She got a big old, like, butcher knife sword thing.
Big old butcher knife sword, you say, eh?
Yeah, she seems pretty cheerful about it. Well, yeah, how about we jump into some housekeeping before we answer a small bunch of listener questions. Of course, thanks again for listening, everyone. As I said at the top of the show, you can support Game Informer by subscribing to a physical issue of the magazine. You can get 10 issues for just $19.91 for 1 year, 10 issues a year. You can also sign up for 20 issues over 2 years for $34.99. It's a great way to keep us around, and we would greatly appreciate it. You can subscribe at GameInformer.com/subscribe or subscription. Either URL works. Of course, you can find us all on social media. I am on Marcus Stewart 7 on Twitter. You can find Kyle at Kyle M. Hilliard, and you can find Wesley at LeBlanc Wes. And you can follow Game Informer on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, as well as our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Game Informer. We have try to have at least 1 or 2 streams a week. As Kyle mentioned earlier, Kyle and Alex, you guys streamed Concord last week. We should be back this week with our Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask Super Replay this Friday and every Friday. We're making good progress there. We have 1 dungeon left.
We're making progress.
That's true. Maybe I'll take out the good qualifier.
It's not good progress, just progress.
Last episode, there was
hanging out in
minimal
Termina.
progress.
It's a good time. We're not in a rush.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
cares?
things reset a lot.
There's no need to rush in Majora's Mask. There's nothing happening. There's no time limits. Anything.
We got time. That's our refrain every episode. We got time.
Yeah, why not? What is time? Of course, you can always be sure to check out our awesome podcast editor, Matt Storm, a.k.a. DJ Stormageddon. They've got 2 podcasts, Fun and Games, as well as Reignite, which is their BioWare-focused podcast. And yeah, for the first time in a while, let's jump into some listener questions. Of course, if you want to send us a question, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either join the Game Informer Discord, which you can do by subscribing to our Twitch channel just 1 time, and that gets you access to the channel. We have a Game Informer show channel in there where I usually do the call for listener questions the weeks that we do them. But if you're not in the Discord, you can send us an email at podcasts@gameinformer.com. And actually, our first question is via email from Mike Boyle, who ask, is there anything in a game or series that you find oddly satisfying? Like me, it's when you holster your weapon in Mass Effect and the way that they shrink down and then magnetically stick to your armor, and then when you unholster them, they grow back to their appropriate size. So any weird little things in games that you just find just weirdly satisfying.
I mean, yeah, like putting away your lightsaber in the Jedi games, which is kind of a similar thing, that you can manually put away a weapon. That is always a nice touch.
I used to like in the do you guys remember I don't remember which X-Men game it was. It might have just been called X-Men, but it was for Sega Genesis. It was like a side-scrolling action game where you could play either as Wolverine, Gambit, Nightcrawler, and I think Cyclops, but you also had assist characters like Storm could fly in and help you out. But if you played as Wolverine, you could manually pull out or retract his claws. And I remember as a kid thinking that was so cool. Like, as dumb as that sounded, it was like part of the fantasy. Because if you ever watched the animated series, I know you said you haven't seen it, Kyle, but he does that a lot. And a lot of times he doesn't follow through because it's a kid's show. But he does a lot of going up to someone, bringing his claws out, and threatening to slice their heads off. And then that's as far as he gets. So at the time I was like, oh, it's cool that I can basically do that, but I can actually follow through and slice someone's head off.
I can actually hit some people here.
Yeah. Unless they're robots, then you can just go wild.
I don't know if any or this one. I actually didn't know this about Mass Effect. That's a cool one. I was trying to find a clip of that because I've never noticed that in my playing through the games. I have two. One is not as oddly satisfying as that, but I like in Persona 5 when you drink coffee at Cafe LeBlanc. It gives you a little sentence
just
or two
like
about
hanging out
the coffee.
at Cafe LeBlanc. That's
I do actually, yeah.
sorry. What were you
Funny
saying?
enough, my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and one of my wife's gifts came in late, and she got me this. It was a Cafe LeBlanc sticker, which actually is where I got the inspiration for this. But I like that it gives you a little tidbit about the coffee you're drinking. And as a former barista of 5.5 years, it is correct. They're actually giving you nice, knowledgeable things about coffee. And then the other thing I can think of is, I could think of is Ghost of Tsushima and Rise of Ronin this year. I like games that you can clean your blade after killing someone. In both games you can flick you can
thing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just a samurai game thing. There's probably other examples in non-samurai games, but I like when you can clean your blade away. And on the recent House of Dragon episode, there was a guy who was using a cloth to clean the blood off his blade, and I was like, that is so cool. That's pretty sick to I don't know, it's not that cool, but I like it. It's oddly satisfying.
I thought you said he was doing it wrong. You have to do the swing your sword and it's instantly clean.
I think in the medieval times they hadn't figured out how to be super cool yet, like the samurai, so they were just give me a cloth, let me wipe my blade.
Sure. I just remember too, Devil May Cry 2, terrible game, but the best thing about it was wall running, because I think it was this was pre Prince of Persia. It was the same year, but I think it came out first, 2003. But I remember I just wall ran everywhere because that was the first time I'd ever really seen that in a game. And I remember thinking this is so cool. I feel like I'm in the Matrix. Everything else in this game is a dumpster fire, but this is really cool.
Yeah. I just thought of another one that is, I don't even know if this works for this, but SSX Tricky is one of my all-time favorite games. I played it so much on PS2. When you ramp really high and you're in the air for a long time in that game and you're coming down into a slope to continue the track, I used to love lining up my board so that I would perfectly land on the track where there was no, I don't know if this makes sense, where you just, you're perfectly parallel with the slope and then you land gracefully right on it instead of your front hitting it first or your back. Yeah. As a small child, I thought that was so cool and professional and awesome at games for doing that.
Yeah, it's on my mind because of NES Championship, but that's Excite Bike. That's the strategy of Excite Bike is making sure you land, at an angle on the ramp or flat against the road. Yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kyle, did you look up if Devil May Cry 2 came out before Prince of Persia? That's what I thought you were doing.
It did. It did, in fact, predate Prince of Persia by quite a few months. Devil May Cry 2 came out in January of 2003, and Prince of Persia came out in November of 2003.
Okay, there you go.
Look at that.
Also, one last one I just remembered was when you get the perfect start in Mario Kart, like when you hit the gas
that's good,
right before
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah.
Which is really hard to
Classic.
do in some games. Some of the games is like pretty easy. The other ones you're like, oh, they nerfed this because people got too good at it. Because I feel like I'm burning out constantly. But when you nail that, you again go almost to your SSX comparison, Wes. You're like, I'm a pro racer. I just nailed that, and everyone's like, how did you get so fast immediately? You're like, I can't tell you.
I hate when games don't have that. Like if it looks like a game
Yes,
that should have
every
that, and it
racing
doesn't.
game.
It's like, what are you doing? Come on, like this is the standard. You need to have this. It feels
Even
good.
realistic games, like I don't know, can you do that in real life? Is that like a real thing you can do, like in real driving? Like, hit the
yes,
gas
of
and
course.
You don't get a
Of
boost.
course it is.
Yeah, I don't like. Can you trick your car out to where you just do that? Like you hit a button, like Fast and the Furious. I don't know. Alrighty. Next question comes from JHerb24 via Discord. They ask, earlier this year, I'd say Helldivers 2 was the game of winter. What is your game of the summer so far? So
I mean,
if we want to narrow this down, I guess May is the start of summer. So we'll say from May to now.
I mean, I guess Shadow of the Erd Tree for me.
Yeah, it's probably Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Yeah. Shadow of the Erd Tree, I played like I was in elementary or junior high again. I would stay up super late. I had at pretty much any time I was playing, it could be like 1 a.m. I had at least a couple friends to like hop into a party with. And we were all very good about not spoiling each other. So it would just be, me and my homies, and we're playing, and someone just going, oh, this is so sick. And then you don't say what it is or what happened. And you're just like, oh, that's cool. I can't wait to get to whatever that is. And it was like a solid 2 weeks of that. And I already miss it now that I'm done with the.
So you guys were
expansion,
like all on
but-
a call playing your own games and just
Yeah, we were in a
live
party.
reacting without explaining.
But
what
you're all playing
Yeah.
Erd Tree.
Yes, yeah, we all just get like hype, like in a boss fight or like someone's getting mad, but none of us want to spoil anything we're seeing because we're all at different parts and we're trying to be nice to each other. So yeah, it's just like, oh, I just discovered something really cool. I'm gonna freak out. They're gonna be like, oh my god, that's so cool. I wonder what it is, and then you don't find out, and basically just like me and 3 other grown men, and we're just like screaming at our TVs in excitement and no real discussion.
I was gonna say,
funny.
since you're
I
not
like
allowed
that.
to since you can't elaborate on your reactions, has there been a time where someone was like in danger, like, oh no, and you're like, you must have fought that boss, and you're like, no, my house is on fire. I don't
Yeah, we have moments like usually somebody is in front of all of us, like they're way ahead in the DLC, so they're the ones that have to be the most quiet. And then like for example, when I was the one that was lagging behind, I could be like, oh, okay, dancing lions kicking my butt, and it was fun. It was awesome. It was like just 2 weeks of forgetting that I needed to wake up on time for things, like staying up late. I mean,
We were
even
wondering
before
where
it
you
came
were
out, like,
those work days when Wesley's not here.
just like logging in every day late. No, it was a good time, and I did the same thing for Elden Ring, so it was cool that Erd Tree recaptured the magic of hanging with friends online.
Quick bonus question: if Erd Tree is the game of the summer, Helldivers is the game of the winter. What's the game of the spring? I noticed that JHerb just skipped spring and went straight to summer.
Wait, when did Helldivers come out? That was like February. Is that?
I guess
Yeah.
so. If it's the winter,
It was February.
I guess I'd have to look at what. Yeah, I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
so what is
came
spring
out.
like March and April, pretty much?
Yeah,
Is it Animal Well? Maybe
Animal
for me?
Well is cool. I like Animal Well.
It was probably everybody starting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the winter, realizing it's 100 hours, and then having to go into the spring playing that.
Right. They thawed
I
out.
liked Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That was my favorite recent game.
Wasn't that May?
Yeah.
That might have been May.
Ooh, Dragon's Dogma 2. That's probably my spring game. End of
Okay.
March. That was a good fun time. Good
Also,
vibes.
I believe Animal, because all those the indie Geddon was May.
Oh,
Like that day where they all
Indie-Geddon,
came
right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in May. So, well, what was March, April? There's something that I'm like.
Another Crab's
I'm looking at it.
Treasure.
Was Indica
Dragon's
in
Dogma.
that time frame? Maybe Indica.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 was March.
I think
as-
Indica
as
was
Wes
May.
pointed out.
Indica was May
Yeah.
17th. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm
South
looking
Park
at our,
Snow Day. We were all playing that in March. Stellar
all
Blade
of
was
us.
April.
Sure. I'll
Okay,
say
Stellar
yeah.
Blade
Stellar
was
Blade
probably
for me.
my personal
Yeah.
spring game. Yeah.
I'll say that for mine. I like Stellar Blade. There we go. We did it,
did it.
guys. Now we gotta wait for
Yay.
fall to see what takes it there. All right.
Fall
Last
is always the easiest one to figure out the game of the fall.
All right, the last question comes from Cole Harper via Discord, who asks, With the Olympics around the corner, if you had to pick one video game to be played as an Olympic event, what would it be?
I thought long and hard about this, and I landed on the mini games in Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. I think those test things like your memory, they test your dexterity with your fingers, they test your problem-solving skills. I think it's a roundabout journey of testing a gamer's senses, and I think that's what's most important in the Gamer Olympics, the theoretical ones.
The Gamer Olympics. It would be fun if a Souls game, like a From Software game, because like if you think about it, the Olympics are like the tagline may as well be "Get Good," because it's just a bunch of people that had to get good all over the world at the thing that they're good at, the specific sport. So what if you just took that spirit and just like you get the best From players from like each country, and I don't know, give them a time limit to get through like Bloodborne or Sekiro, and see like who's the most good of the people that got good better than everyone else, I guess.
You could take it up a notch and make it where they have to do it while using a DDR dance pad, like some of those streamers that somehow beat those games.
Sure, they got to do it while pole vaulting or something.
Yeah, something to get the heart rate up, get the muscles moving.
There you go. So yeah, like Olympic levels Sekiro.
Mine is obviously, I had to Google a bunch to figure out what the name of this is because I couldn't remember. Shape Up for the Kinect.
Oh, yes, of course.
Which is like this weird exercise game that would like, you'd be doing like push-ups and it would keep like dropping bricks on your back and stuff. And it was, so that's my pick.
You
to
think
see some athletes
activity?
just like totally kick ass at Shape Up for Xbox.
I mean, it probably would be great at it, I would hope.
Yeah. It would be like watching someone, it'd be like watching a really amazing From Software streamer. It's like you watch an athlete play Shape Up and it would be mind blowing. Or the Nintendo fitness game. Watch some athletes.
Ring Fit?
Ring Fit, setting crazy high scores on Ring Fit.
Just a lot of doing this, squeezing that ring. I would like to see that. I would like an Olympic branded Ring Fit ring, and then maybe instead of medals, they give you got a gold one of these. Like you get a gold, silver, and bronze ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just put them around their neck and it's just like hanging off their bodies.
How many rings are in the Olympic ring logo? It's 7.
Oh,
right?
that's a good trivia question. Because it's like an optical illusion
7.
if you don't.
Yeah.
I think it's 5.
It's 5.
Is it 5, right?
Yeah. So you got to get 5 Ring Fits to play Ring Fit Olympics.
There you
That's
go.
actually, that'll probably be pretty tough. Ring Fit, not easy to come by.
Yeah.
Or
Still?
at least it wasn't.
I remember they weren't.
I don't know if that was a COVID thing or just that they didn't make a lot of them.
It was a COVID thing because that's when everyone was like, the gyms are closed. This is the next best thing. So I remember
Ring Fit
that's
Adventure. They forgot about Shape Up, clearly.
Yeah. Nintendo was really on top of that in retrospect. Like in a scary way. Like, how come you guys had Animal Crossing ready to go and Ring Fit ready to go?
And Ring Fit, yeah.
Like, what were you guys doing over there that you knew that these were going to be perfect for the pandemic? What did you know?
Did Miyamoto know? And then it's just, I'm excited for that Netflix documentary. Get on it. Well, that's the show, everyone. Thank you for watching. We will be back next Thursday with another episode. Until then, be sure to subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Shout out to everyone watching this on YouTube. And we'll be back next Thursday with the Game Informer Show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.